Hey everyone, good evening. This is Scott Zimmerman with Drunken Disorderlies on Tap News Recap with your nightly news update. Looks like we got some breaking news here today. Andrew Yang has dropped out of the 2020 presidential race. That's right, folks. Andrew Yang, the Yang Gang, is dropping out in 2020 Democratic race for the White House on the same primary day that New Hampshire is going after those Democrats. So, if you remember, Yang was the one that basically said every American's going to get $1,000 a month. Yeah, apparently that's not a thing. So don't take that to the bank, anyone. Just so you know, that $1,000 a month had to come from somewhere. Yeah, it's true. Many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. But I don't know that a government stipend is the solution to that. Who wouldn't take $1,000 a month? You know, but you can't run an entire presidential campaign on saying, "Hey, I'm going to pay you $1,000 a month." So I don't know what he was thinking, but he had some interesting conversations with the Democrats, and it was kind of fun to watch. People rally behind him, and it's also kind of fun to say Yang Gang. So it looks like we've got Bloomberg is heard in a 2015 audio clip defending his stop and frisk statement, throwing minority kids against the wall was what he said. Basically, a newly surfaced recording from 2015 speech from Bloomberg. He came forward. He was the three-time mayor of New York City. He gives a full defense of the policing procedure known as stop and frisk. Fully defends it. He fully defends your violating your Fourth Amendment right. Anyway, it looks like he's going to have to do some backpedaling on this one, though, because he's not getting much traction, much support in the world. President Trump blasted this guy for saying that Tuesday morning that the New Hampshire primary was getting underway. He says, "Wow, Bloomberg is a total racist." The president just called Bloomberg a racist. So there's that. That's a thing, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of that, but people call people racist all the time. It's also a thing, and only different. Like if you're on the liberty side, if you're part of the liberty movement, if somebody offends you, you call them a statist, right? It's kind of like saying "okay, boomer" these days. It's kind of taking some of the teeth out of it and some of the importance. I think that that sits behind powerful words and why we shouldn't abuse them or misuse them in places where they have no business being said. Now, is Bloomberg a racist? You decide. For me, I don't know. I don't know the guy, but I do know what I see. And has he said things that could be construed as racism? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, he could. But does that make him a racist? Yeah, probably. Anyway, this one's a fun one. It looks like in Arkansas, a school officer has now been placed on a paid vacation after choking a student out in the cafeteria. Ninth grader, young boy. He was relieved of his duty Monday pending an investigation. Of course, there's a viral video about it going around. I watched the video. But what happens is he puts the student in a chokehold during a cafeteria scuffle. And I'm surprised there's no video of the actual scuffle in the cafeteria. I mean, everybody's got a cell phone in a high school. You would think that those phones would be right out there. But no, of course, there's video of this officer putting this poor kid in a chokehold. An unnecessary chokehold, I might add, based on what I witnessed in the video. The kid wasn't fighting. He wasn't struggling. He wasn't doing anything. But then this officer took it a step further, and he lifted this kid off the ground by his neck and held him in the air for about 12 seconds, 13 seconds, 12, 13 seconds, basically choking this kid out for no reason whatsoever. The power-hungry prick choked a ninth grader to the point where the kid said he feared for his life, that he didn't know what was going to happen. He blacked out. And he didn't remember seeing anything. He couldn't open his eyes until they actually got back to the office. This poor kid did not deserve that treatment. And it'd be different. There are times where situations occur and you need to break up a fight, and you need to have trained personnel on site to restrain individuals for the safety of others. But this was clearly a dude that watched one too many Ultimate Fighter bouts and thought he was the shit, and decided that he was going to teach this punk kid a lesson. I hope he loses his job. And I hope he never works in any type of law enforcement environment again. The reality of the situation is he'll probably end up in being a prison security guard somewhere, or maybe a after hours bar security guard. Who knows? He could go be a mall cop, right? But he should not be working anywhere where children are going to be if he's just going to abuse his power like that. So, looks like the founder of a controversial facial recognition app, Clearview AI, reveals that it can actually access photos that are no longer online or behind private Instagram and social media accounts. This company has amassed a 3 billion strong database of social media photographs, including pictures which are private or have been deleted, its founder had revealed. This company also identifies people by cross-referencing their mugshots with its image archive. This concept really is an invasion of privacy for the most part, but can it really be considered an invasion of privacy if you're posting things on the internet? Yeah, there's kind of different schools of thought, so you can go either way. But the reality of the situation is, don't put anything on the internet you don't want people to hack and take. That's just the reality of the situation. They say the relentless mining of the user's personal photos has left the internet giants such as the Facebook and the YouTube and the Twitter threatening to sue Clearview. And lawyers have also recoiled, slamming the software for encroachment on privacy, which they fear could actually be weaponized into by hostile foreign powers. But the chief executive was like, just chill. He's not worried about the wrath of Silicon Valley. And he's even admitted to stashing a few photos along the way that have been wiped off the internet a long time ago. So keep that in mind, folks. Before you post it, be ready for it to be stolen, I guess. Looks like Utah is finally going to decriminalize polygamy among consenting adults. For the last 85 years, it's been a crime to have multiple wives in the state of Utah, but they haven't really been enforcing that. Utah had continued to be a safe haven for polygamists, which are fine. But opponents of the decriminalization are saying, hey, we're not protecting people. We're not. They're basically assuming it's the state's job to keep people safe from themselves. The opponents are not really making pretty strong arguments at all. But those that are in favor of decriminalizing polygamy among consenting adults, they are ecstatic. They say the current law is a failure. It hasn't even stopped polygamy. In fact, it's actually enabled the abuse in the system to occur and remain unchecked. Basically, what's happening here is the state just wants to be involved, just like with your marriage. It's a contract. If you choose to do it in a religious environment, it's a moral connection between you and your spouse or spouses. It's up to you, man. It's your call. So, but again, opponents are coming back, and polygamists in the area worry that leaders could consider it a victory if they come through with a lightened penalty as opposed to instead of just decriminalizing altogether. And what they're saying about the polygamists is that those men are going to have more power and more control over their victims than they ever did before. And that we need more laws in place that are going to help victims. Right away, I'm the type of guy that would immediately argue with any statement that says we need more laws. I don't think that that's the case. We need more morals in our country. Yes, you can't legislate morality, though. It's not the government's job to tell us how to live our lives. That's up to us, as long as we're not infringing on the rights of another. Hey, it's Abraham Lincoln's birthday tomorrow. Don't forget to tip one back for old Abe, old honest Abe. A couple of different things that I like about Abe Lincoln. He had a pro wrestling career, right? Although he was not WWE material, he was an accomplished wrestler as a very young man. Basically, his length, his height, his long arms made him a tough guy to beat. So he has been enshrined in the Wrestling Hall of Fame for infamy. So he's the only president of the United States to ever be in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is awesome. Also, a little known fact about Abe Lincoln is that literally hours before he died, he created the Secret Service. Like, hey, you should be, this should be an organization protecting the president. On April 14th in 1865, he signed legislation creating the Secret Service. And that evening, he was shot in the head. So he must have felt a disturbance in the force or something, because he saw that coming. A couple other things that maybe most folks don't know. John Wilkes Booth's brother saved Lincoln's son's life, which was interesting. And this was a few months before John Wilkes Booth assassinated Lincoln. Robert Todd Lincoln stood on a train platform in New Jersey, and the crowd started pressing backwards and forward, and he fell into open space between the platform and the train, and a hand reached out, and it happened to be the hand of Edwin Booth. So interesting, right? So Lincoln is still the only president today to have obtained a patent. No, that's true. A lot of people think, oh, there had to be others. No, Lincoln was the only president to have ever obtained a patent. After being aboard a steamboat that ran aground on low riverbed, and they had on loan its cargo. He took it upon himself to design a method for keeping these types of ships afloat during traveling in shallow waters by using empty metal air chambers attached to the side. So that was his patent in 1849. He also personally test-fired rifles outside the White House. He had his own little shooting range, shooting beer cans, I bet, right off the White House lawn. And what else? Lincoln's mother was poisoned by poison milk, which was interesting. When he was 9, she died of a mysterious milk sickness. So that's Abraham Lincoln. And if you've ever been to the White House, there's a bedroom there called the Lincoln's bedroom. Lincoln never actually slept in the Lincoln bedroom. So keep that in mind too. Folks, I've rambled long enough for this evening. My name's Scott Zimmerman. That's been On Tap for your Drunken Disorderly Media. Have a wonderful evening. Until next time.